Alright, boys and girls, this American CN is making manga history. Bloody hell manga review. Now, I've looked at Rash Reviews stuff before on this channel. I think he's incredible. I think he's a really interesting up-and-coming creator. I eventually hope that he does it. Not eventually. I want him to hit a million, or not a million subs. I want to see him hit a million subs. That would be cool. Dude, just go from small to giggity schmoodle in the streets. But I would like to see him at least hit 1,000 and get monetized, because I think the dude does do really quality content. But let's get right into the video.
So, I just finished 2 volumes of the American manga known as Bloody Hell. And I would be lying if I said I was not surprised at what I read. Usually when it comes to a lot of these American manga, I'm very disappointed. But there are subtle ways that lets it stand out against typical renditions of what people try to make as...
I'm not gonna lie, I'm not in love with the art style. It seems very janky and very, I did this on my tablet 5 minutes ago and then posted it on the internet. Now, that's not saying that the narrative isn't incredible or anything. I'm just saying that I would rather somebody else take over the artwork. This is kind of what happened with One Punch Man. One Punch Man by the original creator looked pretty freaking mid, dude. I mean, it was a bit rough, bro. I'll look it up here in a second so you can see it, but I'm gonna hit play here and I'll pull that up.
Manga in the West. This story would be about our main character known as Jacob trying to claim revenge for his mother and father by killing Dracula. Now, I already know what you're thinking. A lot of you probably are tired of revenge stories, but this actually got me.
By the way, I'm not ever tired about revenge stories. I think that if they're done well enough, they can be incredible. But I did pull up the One Punch Man art. We'll check this out real quick. Oh, it's so bad, dude. Oh, no. Let's hold on. Let's just go images. I know that it was I just remember it being rough. Is this the original? Yeah, that's it. I think this is the original artwork right here, dude. This is the original artwork right here, and this is what it became. So the artist that took it over, I think, did an incredible job, but it used to be so rough, dude. Like, it used to just look so goofy. It's just like I mean, the same appeals there, the same stories there. You can tell what it's going for, but it's just like this is not even close to as good as what it later became. I mean, just like you can look at the side by side here, and it's just like incredible what the new artists are able to do with it. And the old artist was just like he's great in terms of what he's built, and I also think he's done some other stuff with his art that I think worked a little in a really interesting way, like Mob 100. But I think his first work, One Punch Man, was so rough, dude. And I think that the fact that another artist came in and took it over was a plus. Now I think that this has a little bit more talent put behind it in terms of art design than One Punch Man did, but it's still not great.
A little interested. It's definitely a good start, and I want to see how the creator of Bloody Hell evolves after reading this. Because initially, when I heard Dracula, I was kind of not really impressed. But I like this take on the character, making him his own unique depiction, rather than just biting and sucking off the blood of the famous name of the vampire we all know. The original identity of Dracula would be August, who is a king that existed in this world. And he would have fought with a spear alongside his army. And, ironically enough, he would have wanted to repel all of the vampires. Then, unfortunately, he would become the strongest vampire there is, making him nothing more than a puppet and a vessel to this ever-growing embodiment of evil, which makes me raise an eyebrow to what the fuck is Dracula really? Because this entire situation would have happened in a meteor crash site. So if these vampires have a connection to aliens, that definitely has me a bit interested, because a lot of mangas like this don't really have creativity and ideas that make things out of the ordinary. And this is
I mean, that would be sick. Aliens created vampires for the main vampire to kill all the other vampires. That's cool. I'm so far. Like I said, this is like getting to. I'm actually like vibing with this. I'm a big vampire guy. I've always been a big vampire guy ever since I watched Blade as a kid. So anything with vampires, there's a chance I'm gonna want to watch it.
doing something that a lot of these Western mangas might need to take notes from, because there are a lot of good ideas here. And of course, me mentioning other Western mangas, I might have to just bring them up now. You got series like Apple Black and others I guess aren't really worth mentioning, and I read some of them, but this manga really stands out compared to a lot of these quote-unquote American mangas. I shit you not, most of the time a lot of these guys have art on lock, but the story is nothing to write home about. But the story here is actually interesting, and I gotta be honest, a lot of the contemporaries here are just musty as fuck.
Fucking Spoon, that was your great idea. Oh, dude, his name is Spoon, and he dips his spoon in people's assholes, and he throws chunky peanut butter at people. He's really good at it, guys.
Bloody Hell knows exactly what it wants to be, and it doesn't try and pander to a specific audience who probably doesn't even exist, just to make a few sales by being more American. Reading this, at times I actually felt like I was looking at an anime. Now, you may take a look at Bloody Hell and think, well, this doesn't look like anime, but I will admit it did kind of feel like one at times, which is a lot more that I can really latch onto in comparison to other mangas. Now you could try and
I think that's one of the things is I've been watching so many of these breakdowns on like some of these high art pieces like Vagabond and Berserk and stuff like that. Then when I see this doesn't look like a manga that's made by manga fans. Looks like a manga that was made by an anime fan. It has much more of an anime motif, which kind of omits a lot of the insane art that goes into manga, and I think that's where the difference is. I think that's where I get this. There's a few degrees of separation here between what I'm normally looking at in these videos and what I look at when I'm reading Berserk, and compared to what you see here, because this is like somebody who's watched a lot of anime made a manga, and they're like, yeah, check this out, dude. It's simplistic, it's good, and it's kind of like off in that way. That's my problem with the art style.
put this in the same vein as something like Invincible Fight Girl that tries to wear anime on its sleeve when it's clearly not, or Cannon Busters. God save my soul. If I gotta relive this trauma, so do you.
Yeah, I try to get into Cannon Busters. It's not, I don't think it's as bad as everybody says. I don't think it's great, though. I lost interest pretty quick.
Now, to hit home this point about being more American, I will admit this manga would be known as a mana. And admittedly so, sometimes people like to advertise what they're making to a specific audience. The American audience per se. Although this series does,
I think what he's kind of going at is like the blue sky folks, right? The people that are like the deviant art folks. I think there's a lot of people in those communities that these and a lot of these artists are a part of these like weird like Tumblr deviant art folks, and so they gear their shit toward them, which is absolutely fine. You can do that, but it ruins the idea of getting mass appeal for this type of stuff, because your audience that really only is gonna reach to those type of people. And once you limit yourself in that way, I mean, it's just like these guys that are like the anti-woke guys, who make these comics, and their whole idea is to fight wokeism. They're doing the exact same thing as these weird goofy blue sky manga creators. Is they're both only making art for their audience, when they should be trying to just make art for the sake of art and doing their thing, and not thinking about all the other political and like drama bullshit that goes on the internet and in the world.
try to cater to Americans because it is a mana after all. It doesn't try to force the fact that it's trying.
By the way, the fact that the American manga is called mana is so fucking gay. Like, it's so gay, dude. What is it, magic? It's magical, guys. It's super magical. It has so much mana.
Be American down my throat. which not only makes it a more worthwhile read, but it still retains its own identity. The ideal manga would use a Western style of art and storytelling, and would also try and redefine Western storytelling in comics. But rather than just trying to be an American anime, this manga feels like an anime just made by an American, which is actually something that makes it worthwhile, unlike everything else that I've been seeing get made in this art space. Now, a lot of you heard me years before give my own thoughts and opinions.
Oh my god, dude, I pulled up the website for Mana, bro. I don't know why, but see the dude from Hangover here? He's like, ah, yes, finally, I have a... This is Media Action Network for Asia members, so this isn't even the right manga, but I just love that I click on this thinking it's the manga thing, and we just got fucking Dr. Chen or whatever the fuck his name is, bro. The dude that hopped out of a trunk naked.
Opinions about this American movement and manga, and why I think it will lead to a lot of failure and lack of success in the medium, and I still stand by that. So I'm gonna give you my take on this.
Bro, I wonder how, if the people who created this the term mana for this knew that they were fucking they were stepping on the Media Action Network for Asian Americans. I wonder if they knew, dude. I wonder if they knew that they were stepping on their toes, bro.
Whole entire mana thing. I don't think anything should strive to try and be American to make sales. It just needs to be what it wants to be, and naturally people are gonna gravitate towards it. And I'm not gonna lie, this makes me kind of gravitate towards Bloody Hell, because it's not throwing the constant American bullshit in my face, and it just happens to be made by an American, and that makes it so much better. I personally believe a lot of us should just try and beat the Japanese at their own game. After all, anime is anime, manga is manga. It comes from a certain place, and that is what holds it together. That is why we love it. That is why we create to this day. Even though it's called a mana, it still feels like a manga. Now, of course, you can look at it and you can call it amateur if you want, but I think this is a great start and a nice foundation to use, not only as an artist, because a lot of these people in this space are good artists, but they lack good storytelling and so much more. You'd be surprised how really deep this runs. I mean, there's constant copying and so much more. Like, I'm fucking stupid and not gonna notice this shit. I'm looking at you, Ruthless Render. I mean, you just need to take a look at the panels right here, and it doesn't take a genius to really put 2 and 2 together. This is an example of those guys who have amazing artwork, and a lot of you can't really look beyond that. So it's nice to see something that isn't trying to push diversity, or something that isn't blatantly copying other manga. Which, I mean, of course, you can draw a comparison between Berserk and Bloody Hell's protagonist Jacob, because they have giant greatswords and they have fairies following them around. And I will admit, a huge problem with the space is that people can't help but wear their inspiration on their sleeves.
Yeah, that is a problem. That's a problem with literally, like, there's a problem with the anime in general, though. So a lot of them wear their inspiration on their sleeve, and there's sometimes where the overlap is so annoying, because like one example I can think of is like Black Clover. Black Clover is definitely wears its Naruto inspiration on its sleeve. I just think it does the storytelling a lot better than Naruto. I think that it is much more engaging than Naruto. I think the side characters are much more interesting than Naruto. I think that just Black Clover does a better job. The problem with that, though, is I have to hear about how every time I talk about how I like Black Clover, they're like, but you hate Naruto, and it's basically the same thing. I'm like, no, what it did was it made it better and more engaging for me personally.
And despite that, this series is different, so I can take Bloody Hell pretty seriously. And with Bloody Hell, the creator feels like a mangaka. That is the difference. Bloody Hell is something that can do both. It has art that's not gonna completely push me away, but it has a story that gives it a strong enough backbone to leave an impression. When it comes to Bloody Hell, I see a lot of potential. And really, despite what anyone may say about the art or anything else, give this series enough time and let this artist develop, and I think it will be something that is actually going to be able to be confidently put on bookshelves. It reminds me of one of my favorite comics growing up, Amulet. I remember the very first time I read that like it was fucking yesterday, and that was in 2008, and it's 2024 now. That was 16 years ago. That series...
I do wanna find out if the Masked Man's manga, because he's making one right now, right? The Masked Man is making a manga. I wonder if his is any good. I really, really am curious if it's any good, because like if he can bust out of that mold, that would be cool. One of my favorite fucking my favorite anime YouTubers ends up pushing past the fucking bullshit restraints that we have like as creators in this space and moving on to another space and excelling there as well. I would like to see him do it. I haven't read it, but I would love to see a breakdown.
Just left that much of an impression, and I think Bloody Hell, with enough time and polish, will do the same to a lot of young readers for this next generation. Honestly, I may as well just be as surprised as you are to be talking about Bloody Hell so positively, because I was really expecting to tear this series to shreds, but a lot of things in the writing just happened to stand out. For instance, the main character, Jacob. One thing that I really did like was when he was training and he was harnessing his powers of hatred, and his mentor was trying to teach him self-control. And in response to her advice, he would give her a smile and a thumbs up. But there's a lot more to this scene than you would think, because this smile and this thumbs up is potentially a lie. There's a constant inner struggle within this character where he's either using...
Bro, is she flying using her hair? That's kind of dope, bro. I don't know why, bro. She's stacked up, like, she's all stacked up with her titties and ass out, but her hair is just fucking gliding for her.
Everyone around him to kill Dracula, or fight with a calm mind and cooperate with everyone around him and successfully work as a team. Now, whether or not he's trying to use these people for his ambitions, or if he genuinely cares about them, creates a very interesting character arc, where the identity of our main character could potentially be a lie. And this is something that has only been done a few times, even in Shonen Jump, and seeing which direction the author makes this character develop makes for a really interesting storyline, because the main character is half vampire. So it just lets you imagine just how horrible of a person he can be once he finally submits himself to his vampiric qualities, even though early on he gives himself to God and the light. But the concept of duality here is really interesting.
It is always nice when you can have a character like go through this shit. It's like, it's cliche as shit, absolutely. I'm not gonna say that it's not. I mean, the duality of like good and evil is just such an overdone trope, but it's how you get to that point. I think that that's what sets like a good story away from a bad one, is where it can put this at the forefront and not make it feel cliched.
Because how far is this light really going to take him? What's the breaking point until he finally submits himself to the darkness? You see, this is the kind of character writing that needs to be made in the medium of American manga that's actually going to get readers interested. This isn't shallow like Exogenesis, Primus 7, or Fourth Rope, where you're supposed...
What the fuck are these, bro? What the fuck? Bro, why do we have Rick Ross over here, bro? Why do we have this isn't Rick Ross, this is fucking what was the dude's name at the clock, dude? It's the Flavor Flav. Why do we have fucking Flavor Flav the wrestler over here, bro? This is crazy. I mean, this is probably a wrestling manga though. If I had to guess, this is about like fucking this is just what's his name, like Dwayne the Rock Johnson's backstory.
Supposed to just like it to relate to a character by something as minuscule as skin color. This is just blatantly good writing and good storytelling.
Yeah, I don't know anything about the skin color thing. I don't give a shit. I think that that's the dumb point. I do think that it looks cringe as fuck though.
That makes me become attached. I know I'm throwing a lot of shots at other, I don't even know if I can call them mangas, but I'm shooting down all these different expressions of art because they don't focus on what makes a manga.
That one looks sick though. I'm not gonna lie. Arms of Dragon looks actually pretty fire.
a manga, and that's just a good story. There's no pandering, there's no diversity that's going to make up for that, and Bloody Hell makes up for it on its own merits, and it has enough
Bloody Hell's art style, thinking on it now, kind of reminds me of a mix of like anime meets Samurai Jack.
confidence to be compelling, to tell a story that is going to get me invested. That's all anyone who gives a damn about anime, let alone gaming too, cares about. Games like Concord, Dustborn, and even an expression like Ordinal Tempest are just terrible bottom barrel excuses to get someone's attention.
It sucks because Ordinal Tempest, this cover art's really sick. It is really sick. I hate when I see something that these looked like dog shit from the very beginning. This I would pick this up and actually check this out because of how it looks pretty cool. It just kind of sucks that when you get some of the stuff that does look cool, when you get past the first layer, not this shit because the first layer is AIDS, but this shit you get past the first layer and it ends up being fucking mid and just a waste of your time. I hate that shit. I've watched so many movies where I've jumped in excited because the trailers got me excited, only to find out it be preachy bullshit that has no actual substance.
Bloody Hell is such a breath of fresh air. I can't stress it enough. And I hope you're beginning to understand why I'm praising it so much. It's a real manga. It's a real attempt at making a manga. There are characters actually worth a damn, with the main character's master, Irene, not really feeling any compassion towards his struggles because she is a vampire and she's cold-hearted by nature. Now, whether or not this is explored in the writing with her trying to go against her nature and actually care for Jacob, or she lets him die without even batting a single eye, it leaves room for really good storytelling. And we have Arthur, a child that has become a king, bearing the responsibilities of an adult. Even then, after trying to make sure that this world is no longer doomed, he still wants to live life and be a child. And whether or not his childish qualities are going to end the world or save it, leaves something actually worth seeing. So I'm going to give credit where credit is due, because even so, the dialogue is actually really good, despite a few hiccups here and there. The name of this series is Bloody Hell, and sometimes the main character would say Bloody Hell, which is pretty funny, I will admit, but it kinda does break a bit of immersion for me at times. Because really, the story takes itself seriously, and when I read that, it makes me become more self-aware and not take the story as serious as I should. Which is a bit of a nitpick. If this was done near the end of the manga, probably where he's fighting Dracula, it would make a really iconic moment. But that's if the wordplay really feels that necessary to add. I'm not gonna tell anyone how they should.
I think in that regard where he said bloody hell, why? I just feel like that felt very forced. But maybe if they talked about the world of becoming a bloody hell, like what made this world a bloody hell, that would be a much more interesting dynamic. And they referred to the world as we live in bloody hell. Like if they constantly made it a part of the story where it was seamless, I think you could go with it that way. But when it's just kind of like that, did you get it? It's the fucking title. It's the title. Look at that.
Should or shouldn't write their story. But I would also avoid using terms like power level and base form. I remember when Seven Deadly Sins, they gave Hawk the earring and he started talking about everyone's power levels. It really...
Dude, fuck Seven Deadly Sins. That shit needs to be burned out of everybody's mind. It was dog shit.
It just takes away from the power fantasy that makes things so interesting. But then again, this is a tool used to let people understand just how strong characters are. So I get why it's being used. I had to get that off my chest. But
dude, just everything about... I forgot about the pig in Seven Deadly Sins. It had that little of an impact on me. I just remember it being... When I was watching it, I'm like, bro, this is some fucking, like, gooner shit, bro. This is, like, not the, like, not gooner where it's like, oh, look at that, like that 20-year-old hot chick. Ah, look at that, dude. No, it's like, we got a fucking 1,000-year-old to 5-year-old naked. Well, how do you feel about that? I'm like, burn this fucking dog shit to the ground.
The dialogue here, where the characters talk with a vocabulary that isn't mind-numbing. You can take in the words that you're reading and not feel like a fucking elementary school student. And characters talk to themselves during conversations, which gives you a better understanding on what's going on and how they express themselves. And seeing how what these characters say or what they think coincides or goes against their actions is satisfying. And it makes for amazing conversations when characters can read each other like a book. Whether it's Lancelot exposing Ivory for treason, or suspecting Julian of being envious of his little brother for becoming the king, the conversations have layers that I like seeing unfold, with Julian having expressions of anger when mentioning his younger brother that he's envious of. Some characters would pick up on this jealousy and others might not, and it creates nice dynamics in the plot. But as readers, we're well aware of what's happening, seeing the shit show that's about to happen. There's also an interesting amount of world building here as well, with Earth 1 and Earth 2 existing alongside a night realm, leaving our characters plenty of places to explore and continue the adventure. There's too many excuses to give me a chance to reading this, figuring out what happened to Earth 1, why there's a giant meteor, how Dracula...
Dude, this has, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, this looks pretty fire. I mean, does this live up to something like a Berserk? No. This is more like Berserk if it was fucking, Black Clover, but it is something that is good in between of two different manga styles I like, or not manga, well, I mean, yeah, manga or anime styles that I like, and that overlap I think is really interesting.
Exists and what kind of actions the main character is going to take, and knowing what their god is or what this book of light is makes me want to see all of my questions get answered. The DC Comics approach to Earth 1 and Earth 2 did make me a little bit skeptical when it came to the world building, but there's a lot going on, and don't let me get started on all of the other continents that exist here. But Bloody Hell has a really solid foundation, and it actually feels like a manga. I think I'm gonna leave it at this when it comes to my thoughts. If I had to give any advice to the author, I would say don't even bother trying to be a mana, just be a manga and make...
Absolutely, dude. Don't be a part of this cringe fucking Tumblr jerk-off circle. Get the fuck out of there, dude. Just make your shit as a manga and then don't even look back. Don't, like, throw that culture away and just advertise to everybody.
Something that even the Japanese people would want to see. Just go all out. It was a nice change of pace compared to reading all of these other expressions of art that I'm used to looking at. Whether it's vampires potentially being aliens, seeing how...
Bro really has a hard-on for this PNG right here, bro. Bro showed this like 18 times. He wants me to like suck his sword hilt or something. I don't even fucking know.
Everything can unravel in this story showed me a lot of potential from the 2 volumes I read. With enough time and polish, this can be something amazing, and I don't say this lightly. If you made it this far, thank you for watching the video.
I do think that the US needs to do a better job of like supporting more indie comics. I think that we have been inundated with like Marvel and DC and Image for a very long time, and I think there is still a lot of space for utilization of Image comics. I would just like to see our animation market boom a little bit better and get away from this like a Flash animation bullshit that we've been dealing with, like Teen Titans Go and other stuff along that lines. I think it's lost a lot of the appeal. I especially in like cool shows where I think another problem with the US is we're way too distracted by all of this other like cultural bullshit and not focusing enough on stories. And when you focus too much on culture bullshit, what it does is cloud creative vision. All you're thinking about is how will your story impact the world, and what you should be thinking about is how can you create the best story possible? Because if you create the best story possible, then it will impact the world irregardless. And I think that's probably my biggest message for something like this. I think this was an incredible video. I like everything this guy does. But yeah, that's all I got for that one, guys. Thank you so much, and give me a like and a comment.